Hey everybody,
Hello, everyone.
it's Everything Energy with I'm Jeremy Bills.
I'm Tina Falk.
How's everyone doing? How are you doing, Tina?
I'm doing really good, actually. Really happy that you're home. You made it home safely from your Hawaiian adventure. I'm sure
I
you're going
did.
to share a little bit about that with us.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Man, if there's any place on the planet that I can just completely disconnect and feel
Mm.
completely disconnected, it's Hawaii. I love Hawaii. So, yeah, it was really nice to just go away for a week and just be on the beach. I love it. The thing I love about Hawaii is the pace is so slow. Not that Utah is a high-paced place, but
Hmm.
even the pace in Utah is much faster than the
Yeah.
pace in Hawaii. So, yeah, it was really nice. I loved it.
Well, you sent some beautiful pictures, and I was just so envious. Even though there was times when it was cloudy, it's like it's still Hawaii.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
still beautiful.
There were days that it rained all day long, and we just
Oh,
sat on the balcony and looked at the beach and was like, "Oh, this is so nice."
oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Then me and my husband were talking about it. Because we've always been wanting to get a place there, and
Hmm.
prices are astronomical. So I we were talking about it, and I thought, we actually live in a very beautiful place. Just going right outside our front door, you can see the mountains. It's beautiful, but I think that anywhere you live, you get accustomed to the surroundings and you start to take it for granted. And so we started asking people like waiters and waitresses, what do you think of the beach? Do you ever get used to it? And there were a few people that had moved there just a couple of
Hmm.
years ago, and they're like, oh, I haven't gotten tired of it yet. But the locals were like, yeah, it's home. There's the beach.
Oh, interesting. So do you feel
So
that way about the mountains here?
mhm. I
Like,
totally forget about them.
okay, because so Doug and I have lived here for almost 30 years. We are still in awe of the mountains. We feel like we're on vacation,
Yeah.
every day. We're just
Yeah.
so in awe. So, yeah, I can relate to that because it's like we didn't grow up around it. Even though we've been here
Mhm.
for that long,
Yeah.
there's a different appreciation for it other than, like if you just lived there your whole life. Interesting.
I don't know if I would ever get used to the beach though. I think every day I would be like,
Mhm.
"Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, there's the beach. There's the ocean." I think I would love it every single day, kind of like you and Doug with the
Yeah. And I
mountains.
think what's interesting about the beach or the ocean is it would be different every day.
It is.
So the mountains aren't that different. Like sometimes they
No.
have snow, sometimes they're green,
Mhm.
but well, I'm glad you
Yeah,
had such a good time. And
I
so
had such
you
a good
said you
time.
slept really, really well.
I slept 9 hours a night.
That's not you.
No, no, like and then I got back 2 nights ago, we got back and I crashed for 10 hours and it was so
Mm.
nice. Last night, I was right back to my 3 hours a night. I'm
Are
just
you serious?
I'm totally
Oh,
serious.
dang it. Like
So,
you said, I wish I could bottle this up and bring the ocean and the beach with me.
yeah, because I texted you and I was like, "If I could just bottle this up and live like this, I think I would be a much better person." I think I would be less of a crotchety old man than I am, but I think so, yeah, I've gotta figure out sleeping.
Hmm.
I'm gonna work the feng shui in my bedroom and see if that can help things,
That's a good
so
idea. You'll have to keep us posted
mhm.
on what you do.
Oh, I will. I will. What's going on with you?
Well, things are moving right along here with the house. 2.5 weeks, and the basement's going to be done. My daughter and her
So
family are
cool.
moving in. We can get the garage cleared out. We can just start living with family in the house rather than a bunch of strangers in the basement.
I know it doesn't sound like it. I know it doesn't feel like it since you've been living through it, but this has been the quickest renovation I've ever seen in my life. It's been 3 months, right? From start to finish.
Yeah, yeah, almost 3 months. It's been the best contractor. So if you're local here in the Salt Lake, Utah Valley, I highly recommend Morley Construction. general contractor has had amazing crew. They're super friendly. They talk to you, um, and they're here all the time. And so work is getting done. Never have I said, "Hey, where are you? What's happening?" I have just surrendered, and I don't ever know what's happening, which I kind of like. That's not
Yeah.
me. I've learned a lot living here and appreciation for everything really that's showing up. And like you said, being able to walk outside and see the mountains or walk 2 blocks to the lake is really
Yeah.
special. And I can't wait to
Really
share it
cool.
with the rest of my family on a more consistent basis.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's 2 weeks away. I
I
love
know,
that.
it's crazy. So, you want to start with our Aries rant?
Oh, yes, my favorite.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, I just got back from Hawaii, and if there's anything that is absolutely shocking to me, it's how people travel. Every
Mm,
time, it
mm-hmm,
never ceases to amaze me. And one of the things that I just don't understand, and probably because I'm not a parent, but why people bring their children on an airplane when it's gonna hurt their ears.
mm,
They're miserable for and the flight from California to Hawaii is 6+ hours. And so kids, little tiny kids are so miserable. Why? What possesses people to be like, "I think I'll take my 2-year-old on a Hawaiian vacation." That sounds like a really fucking good idea. To inconvenience everyone on the fucking plane that's trying to
mm-hmm,
sleep, by the way,
mm-hmm.
screaming children all the way, 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
And on the way back, there was a woman that had a 2-year-old. Terrible twos, it's a real thing. But this kid was just not having it, and she was just not having it, and she looked
Oh,
up at her mom and she
poor
goes,
thing.
"No," and she just started screaming. Just, "What?" And she happened to be right next to me. Well,
Mm,
across the aisle, and we're talking 6 hours. It's a 6-hour flight, and it was a red eye. And this woman sat right across the aisle from me, and she had the best idea. This is the reframe for me.
oh,
She had she put up a blanket, she looked at her husband, she goes, "Good night," kissed him goodnight, put on an eye mask that had something cushy to it. I think that it was some kind of a moisturizing thing.
mm-hmm.
She put on Bose noise control headphones, and she passed out, and I'm not kidding, she didn't feel the takeoff, she didn't feel us land, she just her husband tapped her, woke her up, and she was in heaven. So, that's the reframe for me is I'm getting Bose noise control
Good for
headphones
you.
so I don't listen to that because listen, I know I know it's an unpopular opinion. I don't think people should take their kids on a flight. I think it's stupid.
It's tough.
But it's never gonna stop, so
Mm-hmm.
I might as well reframe it by getting some Bose
Mm-hmm.
speakers. That's what I think I'm gonna do.
That's a great idea. And they're very effective. My kids have them
Mhm.
for work and stuff. I agree. But as a parent, sometimes you have to go. Like it could be
Yeah,
a funeral, it could be a family event that you have to attend to.
yeah,
But it's really stressful to be a parent because you know, if you're a conscious parent, right, that you're disturbing other people. And
yeah.
it elevates your anxiety and stress, which probably elevates the child's
The kids, yeah,
anxiety and
they can pick up
stress and
on it.
fear. So it's just this snowball effect that unless you're seasoned at it, like our neighbors, they took their baby just not too long ago. I think she's 7 months old, took her to Hawaii.
Oh,
And
wow.
and they're like, we love to travel. So maybe they're trying to get her used to traveling and trying to figure out what works. But I'll tell you what sucks as a parent is, in fact, I was having this conversation with my son-in-law yesterday. I'm like, just when you think you get it figured out, they throw you a curveball. Oh, that's not working anymore. But that's all I brought was coloring books. It's not
Yeah.
working anymore. Oh, that's a bummer, especially
Yeah,
in
I
our
don't
school.
know. I feel bad for people too, but at the same time, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm trapped in this metal contraption for 6 hours and I can't escape.
Yeah,
I
you
can't escape
can't.
that noise. Yeah. So if you're like me, everyone, go get some of those bows. I mean, they're huge. They cover your
Mm-hmm.
whole ear.
Yeah,
But I think I'm gonna do it because then I will pay no mind to the children on the plane.
yeah. I think you'll appreciate them.
Yeah.
So I I am just going to get this out of the way. I don't know if it's a rant, it's a frustration definitely that I have, and it's
Mhm.
this stuff that's going on in my throat. You know, right now I've got my button on the mute button or my finger on the mute button, right? It's so frustrating that I have this interruption in speaking. So my mind starts working, okay, this is throat chakra energy. I'm going into a rooster luck pillar. I'm on video here, whether I'm in a class teaching or just, talking to somebody on Zoom or us doing this conversation. I'm always interrupted by this. And so I went to the doctor, got it looked at, and thank you so much because it is acid reflux. I have
Yeah.
silent acid reflux, which
Mhm.
sucks because I don't know I
Yeah.
have it. And so I don't
Yep.
treat it. And therefore, I have damage because of it.
Mhm.
So they gave me some medication to start taking. And as you know, yesterday I texted you, I woke up covered in hives. It's like, oh,
Okay.
I'm not supposed to be taking this medicine. My body's rejecting. It's like flaring up saying stop. So
Mhm.
now I'm back to what's next. So I always go, I want to deal with the mundane stuff, right?
Mhm.
Take care of what the physical stuff, the damage, take care of
Yeah.
that to get to a place where I can talk clearly and freely and not have interruptions.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to be patient. I think I've really mastered patience in the last few years. But I apologize to you and to everybody watching or listening that I'm coughing, I'm interrupting the show, I'm interrupting the conversation because I'm being interrupted. And so thank you for being patient with me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I just wanna point something out. Right as soon as you started addressing what's going on with your throat, your voice started becoming really, really clear. So I think
Oh,
that just the acknowledgement of that
mhm.
irritation is the reframe. I think that
Oh, I
just
love that.
just saying to everyone, "Hey, this is happening. This is a real thing." I think just addressing it gives it attention and says, "Oh, okay. It
Yeah.
can move on now."
Thank you. Yeah. So if I'm muting and I'm coughing, that's what's going on. Because a lot of people are like, "Would you just take a drink of water already?" And it doesn't
With
really
acid
do anything.
reflux no, it doesn't. With
Mm-mm.
acid reflux, it's yeah, I've struggled with acid reflux for a lot of my life, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a
Okay.
it's a thing. It's a
It
thing.
is. All right,
It
my
is.
friend. You ready to get into today's topic?
I'm so excited for today's topic. I'm
Why?
so excited. What? Oh.
We need sign language or why are you excited about today's topic?
Because I have been so many clients have been contacting me and saying, "What the fuck is going on in the world?" Like, it's so intense. I feel this intense energy. I feel like something's coming. I feel like something's building up. What's happening? And
Yeah.
it is so intense right now. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's so cool that we have astrology as tools and modalities that we can use to explain what's going on to people because people
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And all it is they're picking up on what's going out there in the sky. They're picking up on what's going on energetically for everyone as a
Mm-hmm.
collective. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
I
what
love
we're going
that
to
how
address today.
yeah, and I like how you said that it's you're grateful and I'm grateful that we have these tools like astrology, Western, Chinese, whatever, or flying stars. We have these other ways to look at what is happening because I often wonder, what if I didn't know this stuff? Like, where would I be in my life? Would I be blaming everybody? Would I be thinking that I'm at fault for everything? Like, I don't know where I would be in my life if I didn't have those tools and to help me understand and appreciate what is happening. And it's going to pass.
Mhm.
Things always pass, but sometimes growth and expansion and waking up and progressive energy can be uncomfortable. It can be challenging because there's a lot of change happening.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be fun for us to kind of talk about the Western perspective, the Eastern perspective, and kind of how it's showing up
Yes.
personally and nationally and globally.
Yep. I love that. I love that idea. Well, let's start with period 9.
Oh, period nine. What does that mean? Period nine is connected to classical feng shui. It, and please interject, you know, if I'm misspeaking or not saying enough here. It's connected to the school called Flying Stars, School of Feng Shui or Flying Stars Feng Shui. And we've entered into a new 20-year period. We've moved out of a period 8, which was like the mountain energy we were talking about. It's
Mhm.
stable, it's secure. We could count on investing your money and you could retire. You could buy
Yeah.
a home and you'd have equity. You
Mhm.
could, get an education and that would support you. We come
Mhm.
from a period that just was security. It was a safety kind of thing and it was consistent and we kind of knew what to expect. And now we're in a period 9. I am so sorry, which is fire energy.
Mhm.
Fire's unpredictable. It's about change. It's in through that change and that destruction of a fire burning down the house or a president upending the political system, or someone walking into a church and shooting people, or schools, a health crisis. All of this stuff is part of that fire energy,
Mhm.
and it's intense. And
Yeah.
you don't want to get close to fire. It's going to burn you. It could destroy
Mhm.
you and the things that
Yeah.
you love and value. And so we're burning away old ideas and old ways and forging a path. It's kind of like I always picture, we've seen some really devastating fires. Canada's
Mhm.
going through some big fires. People are being evacuated right now. We've seen it in California. We've all seen it.
Mhm.
It's terrible what happens in Hawaii, right? There was the
Yeah.
huge fires, and through that destruction we lose lives, we lose everything that we own, the landscape is different, everything changes. And
Mhm.
it's devastating to go through. It's horrific and it's sad and it's crazy what people have to go through, the fear of that. But we always rebuild, right? We have resilience and we need to tap into that resilience and figure out, hey, shit's burning down, let's start planning. Let
Yeah.
it burn, but plan for what's next. So you're not
Mhm.
standing there in the rubble, shaking your head, feeling like you're the victim and you got totally decimated and screwed over, and start
Mhm.
planning for what's next because there will be a what's next.
Yeah.
What do you want to
Yeah.
add to that?
Well, I mean, the difference between earth energy and fire energy is very drastic. Earth is very solid, it's very stable. You can build on it. Fire destroys. Fire breaks things down and makes it go back to the earth. It strengthens the earth. And so what I love about the opportunity of period 9 is new beginnings. It's letting us it's allowing us to let everything that no longer serves us burn away. And the interesting thing about it is the last time there was a period 9 was during 1844 to 1863. So
Mm,
when you think about that period, some of the things that were going on during that were world events like the California Gold Rush, the Utah War, Civil War, Abraham Lincoln was president, and the Emancipation Proclamation.
mm,
So all of those things really what it did is it kind of upended the political structure on a world scale, especially in the United States, and it created a total and complete shift of power. Now,
Mm,
as we've transitioned out of that really strong, stable earth energy, which is kind of old patriarchal, traditional conservative ideology, into fire, which is new ideas, burning down the house, burning things
mhm.
to the ground that no longer serve us. That's what was happening last time there was a period 9.
Wow.
Everything was unpredictable. We didn't know what was gonna happen next. But there
That's
was a
such
lot of inspiration that happened during that time too.
Yeah. And I like that you're introducing, like, look back, right? See what else was occurring during these times of change, because it's an indicator of what's possible, and
Mhm.
that it is a trend. It is an energy that's real. That we live on a cyclical planet, and so we things do come full circle. They do come back around, the seasons, the moons, the tide, whatever it is. And I love what you're saying too, that it's burning away this old energy because it needs to go, right?
Yeah,
Energy has to, we get to a point where, oh, I don't like this color anymore on my wall, or I'm not going to wear this jacket anymore, or it's
yeah,
time for a new car. That's really, some of those are bigger purchases than others, but that's really how we can see this as, okay, it's just a changing of the guards. It's just a different thing that we're going to start doing now.
yeah.
And I was thinking yesterday, and it kind of really opened up my world to seeing this even in a different perspective. So, this period 9 started around 2020. Talk about change, right? Everything in 2020 fucking
Yeah,
went out the window,
yeah,
right? We were losing our way of life. We
yeah.
couldn't have access to just practical things. We were losing loved ones or our lives, our jobs. We were doing things, kids were not going to school. Everything was different. That was the beginning of this period 9 energy. And you're going to talk about that in the Western stuff too. But
Mhm,
it's made me start. I've been thinking about indigo children because I was getting new glasses the other day, and this gal helping me is an indigo child. And her boss was saying how he really struggles with her energy. He's an he's a boomer, and he doesn't understand her, and she just kind of laughs it off. When the indigo energy came in, late 80s, early 90s, the majority of the kids younger than that are indigo children. And they're the ones that started bringing in extreme ways to do things and experience the world.
mhm.
That's when we started seeing Red Bull. Like,
Yeah.
let's amp up the freaking energy drinks.
Oh,
Like,
let's
let's
do this.
like a Mountain Dew doesn't have enough caffeine. Let's amp it up and do this. That's
Yeah.
when kids started taking helicopters to the top of mountains and snowboarding where they shouldn't be snowboarding. This is where
Mhm,
extreme sports started getting involved, extreme experiences in life. So I think the Indigo children really started ushering this in early, in the 80s, but there was a lot of
mhm,
pushback. I don't understand it. Kids these days. And now look, they're the ones that are really struggling. That millennial kind of era is really struggling because we were born in that era of understanding that we do have security. If you get an education and you do what you work hard, things will pay off for you. That doesn't exist right now.
mm-mm.
We have to figure out a new way of doing things. And I
Yeah.
think it's unsettling and it's a bit scary. Um, so I don't know what to suggest for people though. And maybe we're not at that point yet of like how to sit with that.
Well, one of the things I would recommend is it's kind of like, what we were talking about with Hawaii. When you look out your window, what do you see? Are you gonna see something different every time you look out your window, or are you gonna see the same thing?
Mm,
If we're looking for possibilities, that's fire energy. because we
Mhm.
don't know what's going to happen next with fire. You can light a match and you don't know what's going to catch fire, how quickly that fire is going to build, what it's going to burn to the ground, if it's going to start hopping over different things.
Mhm.
Look out your window and find the possibilities, because there's always new possibilities with fire. Always.
Yeah.
They might not be the possibilities that you're wanting or that you're hoping for, but they might be new and fresh ideas. So if
Mhm.
we can get into the ideology of spontaneity and looking for new possibilities, always more coming around the corner, that
Mhm.
would be a better way to navigate the fire energy, because earth energy is gone. Where, you
Mhm.
know, uh, the eight star is not going to come back for another 180 years. So none of us are gonna see that earth stable energy in our
No.
lifetimes ever again,
No.
ever again.
Ever. Yeah.
And 9 is the number of completion, right? It's the
Mhm.
last of the 9 numbers. So it's
Mhm.
we get to over the next 20 years, now mind you, this is gonna be here for the next 20 years. We get that 20 years to really close some chapters in history and also
Mhm.
personally. So
Mhm.
it's really exciting. If you can get into the excitement of the fire, that's going to be easier to navigate than I really wish things used to be the way they were. Well, they're not.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's holding on to 8 energy.
It is.
8 energy is resistance, and that's what's happening. There's a
Yeah.
whole generation that is resisting this change.
Mhm.
And it's, when you're digging in your heels and you're fighting for the same, even though things are changing, I can sit here and hold on to my child and squeeze them tight and say, "Don't grow up. I want you to be a baby forever." I
Yeah.
can't do that. They
No.
will grow, they will mature, they will have to shave their face someday. They're going to have a life of their own, and there's nothing I can do. I have to
Mm-mm.
accept that things are changing and they're going to be different.
Yeah.
And if you, like you said, if you look for the possibilities and choose the fires that you want to feed with your
Yeah.
thoughts and your intentions and your emotions and your actions, then you'll be a part of the creation of what's
Yeah.
coming. When you
Yeah.
resist, everybody out here is going to be working like crazy to create a world that you will not feel like you have a place in because you weren't
Mhm.
contributing to the future.
Yeah.
So you need to partake in what you want, that even if it's just sitting on your knees or on a cushion and praying and visualizing the future that you, not bringing the past in, but a future
Mm-mm.
that you want to see for your children and their children and their children, because this is their future.
Yeah.
Go ask
Yeah.
them what they want and contribute to their prayers.
Yeah. What
What do they
fires do
want?
they wanna start?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I love that you brought that up. Feed the fires that you want to see happen. Because if we feed the fires of all of the things that we don't want to happen, that's going to happen. We're going to become the creators of a negativity that's already running rampant on the planet. So don't focus on the things that you're afraid of happening. Focus on the things that you want to happen
Yeah.
and get the younger perspective, because guess what? We've both reached the age where we're no longer cool. We're no longer cutting edge, and we've got to get on board with what the younger generations are
Mm-hmm.
saying, or the boat's going to leave and we're not going to be on it. So
Exactly.
we've got to get with it. We're
We,
to the age where we were looking at our parents and going, "Oh my god, who are they? They're crazy, right? They
you're
don't
an
know
idiot.
shit about anything." We're that
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're right. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't know shit about anything. We've got to get on board with that. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the perfect opportunity with fire. This is a
Mm-hmm.
perfect opportunity. I wanted to mention a couple of the cool things that happened during the last period 9. Some of the medical discoveries that happened between 1844 and
Ooh.
1863 were anesthesia. Anesthetic was invented
Mm.
during that time. And there was in the science world, they learned that germs cause disease. So over the next 20 years, it's going to be interesting to see the medical advancements that
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
Over the next 20 years, there's going to be some pretty big things. I mean, COVID was pretty big. They
Mhm.
had to come up with a vaccine in less than a year to save millions and millions of people. Now, regardless of whether you're pro-vaccine or not pro-vaccine, is regardless of that, it is something that happened due to having to cause the scramble to get that working.
Mhm.
We're going to see a lot more of that kind of thing happen over the next 20 years.
Yeah, and I think we're
Um,
gonna see healthcare big strides in eyes, eye care,
yeah,
as well as the heart and the
yeah,
blood, because that's all
yeah,
connected to, in traditional Chinese medicine, that's connected to the fire energy. And
yeah.
so, just on a little side note, if you've got a lot of fire in your chart or very little fire in your chart,
Mm,
this fire could be really overwhelming your triple burner, your fire energy, elevating
yeah.
your blood pressure, your heart rate, headaches. So if you're having those kinds of things, make sure that you're checking in with a doctor or an acupuncturist, somebody who can help you regulate those things, because fire, yes, it's fire energy out there, but it's influencing our energy in here.
Yeah,
All right, keep
it
going with
is.
what, no.
Just a couple of inventions, nitroglycerin,
Mm,
and also the repeating rifle, spring action magazine, so repeating bullets flying. So that's extreme fire energy. So we're also going to
mhm,
see, advancements with weaponry, with anything to do with fire, really. So be
mhm,
looking for that. Be noticing what's happening. Also, the other thing to note about fire is there can be a lot of information that comes out that's really upsetting. So it's
mm,
important, if you're watching the news, not to get completely inundated by it and not to immediately go into fear.
mhm.
Finding the possibilities and the challenges that are coming up over the next 20 years, that's what's going to really help to ground the situation.
Mhm.
Otherwise, again, you're going to be feeding the fire of fear, and that's going to turn into a bonfire really quickly. So,
I appreciate that you said to when you watch the news, look for those things. That's what disconnected me from what they were saying on the news. I was
mm,
looking for connections because I
mm,
know what the energy is of the month or of the period or the year. And I'm looking to go, oh, it's because of that. It's because of
yeah,
that. I'm not sitting there getting
mhm,
worried about it. Oh,
yeah,
no. Not that I don't send love and prayers to those in need, but I'm not triggered by the news. I'm seeing the news as an informational place where I can connect the dots and make sense of the energy that's happening out there.
mhm.
It's big about feminine energy is really big.
Yeah, so
Really
explain
present.
how period 9 and the 9 star connects to women.
Well, it's like the phoenix rising out of the ashes, right? It's like through this destruction and through certain systems that are patriarchal, created and driven and run and everything, through this destruction, women are going to find their place. So whether it's female owned businesses, industries that have to do anything with the feminine energy, makeup, decor,
Yeah,
hair, clothing, even psychology, self care is going to be
mhm,
on the rise. So if you're in those kinds of business or you're thinking about being in a business like that, this is the time where there's tons of fire energy to support you.
yes,
That feminine energy to me is about change. They birth forward, right? New life. And that's
mhm,
one of the things that you said earlier. Even though this is a period of destruction, it's setting the stage for what's next, for new beginnings, which will happen in the next
yeah,
period around 2040,
yeah,
2044, something like that.
mhm.
So I think female leaders, all of that's on the rise. Will we see a female president in the United States
Oh
this?
god, I
No,
hope.
not probably not, because we're still destroying. We're
Yeah,
still disassembling things that have been so anchored in an old way. I don't think
yeah.
we're ready. The most of the people aren't ready for it yet, unfortunately. And that's just me because like I said, I've really mastered patience over the last few years. So
Well,
I'm just
that's
being
good. I'm glad
patient.
one of us has.
I know it's coming, but I don't think we're quite ready for it yet. As much as we need it,
Oh,
we need the compassionate soul of a
yeah.
feminine energy, but who's to say we can't have a little bit more compassionate hearted or heart centered in a male energy in the meantime?
Oh, I hope that there's a female president coming. I've had about just enough with old straight white men. I'm
Yeah.
done.
I
I'm just
know.
done.
Yeah.
I'm done. But
Mhm.
here's the good news, and this is gonna sound really harsh, but I'm okay with saying it. That generation's dying, so I'm okay with it. Let's get them
Mhm.
out of here so that we can get strong feminine energy, strong I would just love to see female leadership all over the world. I would
Mhm.
love that. I think that it
Yeah.
would be so much more of a peaceful world if that were to happen. But
Well,
like I
hold
said,
on. I'm going to add to that if you don't mind,
okay,
because this
yes.
is good. Like if you look in our, and I don't think it's just our political system here, but there's a huge majority that are in that baby boomer era,
Mhm.
and they're a part of the resistance. They won't retire. They won't pass the torch to somebody
No.
who needs to create a future for their generation. They're still
Yes.
holding on to their old ways, their old connections, their old system, and they're resisting the to just go sit still and sit in the rain and watch the beach in Hawaii. They're resisting having that kind of ending to their career or life or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's just frustrating as hell because there's a lot of young people that are very, very smart. And even the old
Yes.
people are resisting the young people. Oh,
Yeah.
they're idiots. They don't know what they're talking about.
Uh,
They're a bunch of freeloaders and it's so frustrating.
it is. Because guess what? The young people have better ideas. They have better, more efficient ways of
Mhm.
doing things than we can even, in my generation, wrap our minds around.
Mhm.
We need to get the hell out of the way and let women and younger people take over. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
We've gotta let it happen, and guess what? With earth energy, that doesn't happen, but with
No.
fire, we can start to see those old political structures, those old ideas burn to the ground. You
Mhm.
cannot stop a forest fire.
Oh,
That's why they let them burn.
yeah. And that's why they do controlled burns cuz sometimes things have to go.
They've gotta go. So over the
Mhm.
next 20 years, it's gonna be very difficult for the baby boomers to watch. Very difficult. And I'm
Yeah.
not happy that it's gonna be difficult for them. I don't want them to be stressed out. I don't want them to have a hard time. But it's exciting for me to see new energy coming forward
Mhm.
so that we can have a better world. I'm just so sick of the way things are. I hate it.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people agree with what you're saying, and I agree
Yes.
with you. So, what else are you wanting to share about the anything else about the past, like what happened the last time? Or do
Nope.
you want to jump into the
Let's
Western?
jump into Pluto and Aquarius.
Yes, please.
So I'm really excited to talk about this because it's very similar energy to period 9. Now, hundreds and hundreds of years ago did period 9 and Pluto and Aquarius merge together. This is not a cycle that
Oh,
happens regularly.
okay.
So
Good to
this is the first time in a long time in history that these two energies are converging, because
yeah.
Pluto takes 248 years to 256 years to cycle a full chart. A
Okay.
great example of that is the United States of America. Just recently turned something like 253 or something like that. I forgot. But since 2020, Pluto has returned to itself in the United States of America's chart. And Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, transformation, and regeneration. So since 2020, we've been witnessing the fall and the death of the United States of America. Now, with this energy, which is really frightening to some people or really exciting to some people, depending on how you look at it gives us a chance to break down old structures that no longer work and rebuild new structures, especially since Pluto is making a huge transition from the sign of Capricorn, which is that earth, solid, patriarchal, old masculine energy that was there for since 2008. Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn, and now Pluto has moved into the sign of Aquarius. Well, Aquarius is very different energy. It's not earth energy, it's air energy. It flows, it goes with the flow. Aquarius is the sign of the rebel, the renegade, the revolutionary. So to have that planet of transformation, deep transformation, death and rebirth, we're going to see disenfranchised groups of people rise to the surface.
Mm.
People are so tired of the way things are, and things are going to shift. They're going to change. Now, the death process is not fun. It's just not. But a lot of times we have to go through the death process in order to have something rebuilt. So when we're talking about Pluto and Aquarius, and we compare that to the period 9, what happens when you get air and fire together? Air
Mm.
fuels fire.
Yeah.
It creates a huge explosion, right? Air also has the capability of blowing out fires. So it's very possible
Mm.
that over the next 20 years, a fire that you've been feeding over here could just go out without any warning or anything. But there's
Mhm.
always another fire to start over here. So going with the flow of that energy rather than fighting it or resisting it is going to be really super important. Now, this year in 2024, we've got Pluto kind of going back to the sign of Capricorn.
Hmm.
And that's going to be happening in the fall, the months September, October, and November. Pluto
Mm.
will dip back into Capricorn during the election, which is again that old patriarchal energy. So, this is why we've got two old straight white men that are duking it out. Well, three now,
Mhm.
duking it out for the role of president. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens during that 3 months. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But right after the election, it moves back into the sign of Aquarius, where it will stay until 2044. So
Really.
again, we've got these 20-year cycles with period
Mhm.
9 and Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of freedom. It's the sign of breaking the chains that hold people down. So we're going to see, I mean, there's a lot of protests going on right now,
Yeah.
and that's only going to get more intense.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are going to amp up because of this fire energy, and it's
Mhm.
it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. That's
Mhm.
why it's so important to be looking for the cycles, be looking for the connections when you watch the news, be
Yeah.
looking for the things that are happening so that you can get on board with that energy rather than resisting it. Because if we resist it, you can go into immediate anxiety and depression over what's going
Mhm.
on in the world unless you get really curious as to what's coming.
Yeah. And resisting can manifest that you engage in an argument with somebody because you don't like what they're saying or you don't like what's
Oh, yeah.
being shared or what's going on. That's resisting. So be curious, stay healthily detached. Like you got to know if you're in danger, of course, but send light, send love, send clarity,
Mhm.
where we need it, even to the people who are instigating some of this stuff. And I
Yeah.
swear, say this all the time, you can't make this shit up.
I know. I
Both
know.
the Western and the Eastern world are converging here. And even how you talked about the rebel energy, that's the dragon year that we're in.
Mhm.
He's the
Yeah.
ultimate rebel. He's the escapist. He's the one that's bridging the world between heaven and earth, who wants to say, we've got to change things up here. They're
Yeah.
questioning authority. He's pushing it back. He's breaking down the limits, the boundaries. And so, oh my gosh, there's so much to say.
I
Okay, go
know.
on.
Let's talk about some of the cool and exciting things that happened last time Pluto was in Aquarius. First of all, the world events expanded voting rights, which is kind of interesting because
Mm-hmm.
voting is a hot topic right now.
Yes.
Um, State governments were established, which is interesting because there's a lot of things that are going back to state government rather than
Mm-hmm.
federal government.
Mm-hmm.
The Revolutionary War ended,
Way
but
to
the
go,
French,
Arizona, by the way.
right?
Jeez. Come on.
I mean,
Talk about
it's
old
so
energy.
stupid. Talk about it's
Oh,
such
fuck.
bullshit. Um, and then the French Revolution began.
Okay.
So we're talking major revolution energy. And again, with
Mm.
period 9, there was a total shift in power. So regardless of who gets the presidency, over the next 4 years there and over the next 20 especially, there's going to be a total shift in power. The United States might not be the superpower of the world anymore after this 20 years. We don't know. It's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility that things may shift.
Mm.
Some of the medical discoveries, the cowpox and smallpox vaccine were established and
Okay.
invented.
So vaccinations.
So vaccinations,
Mm.
major discoveries within the medical field. Some of the inventions were the sewing machine and the cotton gin. So those inventions made mass production of clothing possible. So there's going to be a lot of interesting inventions coming up over the
Mm.
next 20 years. But I just find it so interesting that these two energies are converging at this point in history. It's very
Mm-hmm.
unpredictable, but it's really exciting too when you think about all of the things. You know, there were people that were living during between 1844 and 1863. There were people that were living between 1777 and 1798. And they lived through it. They
Yeah.
lived to tell the tale of the things
Mm-hmm.
that they were going through. We have the capability of making it through this too.
Mm-hmm.
So get really curious about what your life direction is in the midst of all of these crazy things going on in the world. How
Mm-hmm.
can you take that Pluto in Aquarius energy? How can you take the burning down of everything that no longer serves you and finding your voice, finding your own revolution, finding your own inner rebel to rebel
Mm-hmm.
against the things that no longer work, but to tread your own path, using that fiery inspiration energy of period 9 to forge your own path and to move forward in lots of different ways. I think it's
Yeah.
really kind of cool.
So well said. So many things there. I want to add a couple things on how to
Yes.
like manage this energy, this intensity. Um, don't overdo it. Like, don't take on too much because then you're going to get burnt out, right? We don't want to have a bunch of fires that we're trying to tend to. You can't, it's not possible because something's going to get missed and it's going to explode and, or the fire will go out. So focus on what's really important. It's the thing that you're really good at. Put your energy there. If you're compassionate, focus on where you can share your compassion. If you're good at numbers, do that. If you're good at connecting people or you want to help people, focus on doing that part. If you
Hmm.
have a 9 to 5, that's great, but put your intentions and your energy into what you're really good at. So build your personal brand. I'm
Yes.
not saying you have to be a business owner, but because the 9 energy in feng shui is about your fame, your reputation, how you're being recognized and seen in the world. A lot of people feel unseen. A lot of people won't vote. My vote doesn't count anyway. They don't feel like they're counted or heard or acknowledged. So, who are you? If a light was shining on you, you're standing next to the fire and you're standing in a circle holding hands with people or not holding hands, and it's
Hmm.
your turn to say, this is my contribution or this is who I am, what are you going to say? What are you wearing? What does your
Yeah.
voice sound like? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Um, Here's the thing, because 9 is all this energy we've been talking about is unpredictable, you need to have backup plans.
Hmm.
You cannot count on putting your money in one thing and you're going to get that investment back. How many
No.
people invested? They heard the big thing about Bitcoin and all of a sudden everybody's dumping. Some people got paid back. Some people are still sitting there going, oh crap, what
Yeah.
happened? So have multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Very important. You cannot be living in a home where there's only one person that's got income and paying the bills because of
Hmm.
the unpredictability and things crashing. And even with all the solar stuff that the solar storms, and a lot of people saw the northern light energy, it could crash computer systems,
Oh, yeah.
hacking, all of that stuff could happen and take down a business. So you need a backup plan. It's critical because of this time of uncertainty and instability. You're going to be afraid if you don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the backup plan, it creates a sense of security. It's like, oh, okay, we'll be fine. It'll be a little rough, but we'll figure it out. You
Yeah.
have to be able to do that
Yeah.
and be open to learning and gaining new skills. Be open to, like I said before, be curious, figure out what else it is that you can be doing or contributing to. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox. I think it's
I
just
love
important to learn
I
how to
love
do
that. And what we would love to hear from you how you're navigating this period 9 and Pluto and
it.
Aquarius energy. What's showing up
Yes.
for you, especially in 2024? Have you noticed this huge energetic shift? How is it showing up for you? What area of life is it showing up for you in? And what are some of your plans on navigating it? What are some of the things that you're
Mm.
doing in your life? I love that you mentioned, having that microphone. There's so many people that come to me for a reading and they're like, "When is it my turn?" And I know I've
Mm.
asked that question for myself.
Mm-hmm.
When do I get to take my turn?
Yeah.
Well, period 9 is the time. It's
Mm-hmm.
fame, reputation. So take your turn.
Yeah. Be
N
seen.
n Not a lot of times are you gonna get a written invitation that says, "Hello, Jeremy Bills, it's your turn." No, you've gotta grab the mic and take the spotlight, and you've gotta take it. You've gotta move forward. You've got a 20-year period of time where that's
Hmm.
possible. So
Yeah.
take your turn.
And don't wait till the last year. Do it now
No, don't
so you
wait
can
for
take advantage of it.
2043. No, let's wait. Let's do it now in 2024. Let's get the ball moving on that. I love that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just,
Let's pull a card.
oh, I'm going to add another thing here because I'm looking at
Okay.
some notes.
Okay, go ahead.
You got to have courage. You
Mm,
need to be, like I said, to be open, experiment with stuff. If it's not working, shift, pivot, try things out, see what works for you. Because again, this isn't long term goal energy. So you might set off to, I'm going to go to school for this, or I'm going to take this class, or say you're going to take Jeremy's cosmic fusion class or my certification training, and you get started thinking, oh, I'm going to do this. Be open to shifting and letting it be something
mm,
else that maybe you didn't plan.
yeah,
That's what fire does. It doesn't stay the same fire that you build, right? It's a shapeshifter. It changes form and it moves, and it's never in one spot. Nothing is permanent. Don't resist this.
yes.
Hold on to what you can control and allow the change that's happening in the world to maybe inspire and motivate you to do those things. Even in your relationships, even in your home, painting your front door a different color, doing something different with your hair, something, any little thing that you say, oh, I'm going to change this up, then you're leaning into acceptance and allowance.
I love that. I love
Okay.
all of it. So while you were talking, I shuffled the deck and two cards flew out. And the first
Okay.
one is the 5 of water. The 5 of water is really kind of interesting energy. It's water is the energy of emotions. Okay. It's this the 5 of cups card. And 5 is about change. So when you've got a combination of water and change, it's kind of like crying over spilled milk, things not turning out the exact way you thought they would. This is again holding on to that earth energy. I really wish things could be the way they were. No, since 2020, things are never going to be the way they were. That way of
Mm-mm.
life is over. We're moving into a new era. Here's the solution. This is the justice card. It's all about balance, standing
Mm.
up for yourself, taking that microphone, allowing yourself to stand up for your own beliefs, but also to find balance in your life. Maybe the balance comes in by taking your turn. Maybe the balance
Mm.
comes in by moving forward with that invention that you've been thinking about inventing. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it is moving forward with the class that you've been wanting to take. So let's move forward. Even if things didn't turn out the way you thought they would,
Mm-hmm.
let's pivot. Let's move in a new direction.
Yeah. I think balance too, like if you're seeing something that's uncomfortable, feed the fire that says, I'm holding light for this. I'm
Yeah.
holding love and energy for this,
Yeah.
rather than engaging in it and getting, feeding negativity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny when me and my husband were coming home on the train and we saw some pretty weird characters. And over the loudspeaker it says, "If you see something, say something." And I thought, "Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we can't really be complacent anymore. We've got to
Mm,
actually protect ourselves. We've got to stand up for ourselves. We don't have to
yeah.
create negative situations, but, if there's someone in need, we've got to help."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you are surrounded by negativity and you know it's not serving you well, create a boundary around it. Tell the
Mhm.
people or the person that's like, I can't tolerate this anymore in my life.
Yeah.
I know people who don't even turn the news on. It's not
Mhm.
putting your head in the sand. It's saying, I'm
No.
disengaging from some conversation that's slanted towards the way they want me to hear something. I
Yeah.
will find out if on my own if there's information I need to know, or I'll hear the siren if there's an emergency.
Yeah.
So do what you have to do. That's not resisting, that's turning off the fuel for that
Yeah.
when you
It's
disengage.
feeding the fire that you don't wanna feed.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to feed the fires and focus on the things that you want. So
Yeah.
what's coming up for you? What
I
when
think
do
I'm
you have
putting
any trainings
together,
coming up or
yeah, I think I'm going to put together a class on cures.
Ooh,
So it'll
that's
just
gonna
be, I'm just going to share some big, really powerful cures
Mhm.
in a call. I'll give you show you an example of them and teach you how to do them. And I think they can be powerful, kind of, because we talked in another episode about ceremony. And so creating a little bit of a ceremony around those cures, those kind of transcendental or feng shui cures, I think that'll be fun.
Oh,
What about
I
what
love it.
about you?
I, am launching Cosmic Fusion. It's
Mm.
an apprenticeship where we alchemize both Western and Chinese astrology. Part 1 is launching on June 8th.
Oh my
And
God.
the doors are going to be open to purchase and to set up a discovery call with me starting on May 23rd. From May 23rd until June 1st, the doors are going to be open to get a be a part of this. I'm limiting it to 10 spots only, so
Okay.
spots are limited. If you would like to set up a discovery call, we're going to leave a link um, uh, in the bio where you can sign up to set up a discovery call to see if
So
this
is
would be
that
the course for you.
is that online then?
Yes, yeah, it's an
And
online course. And part 1 is going to be about learning to read your Western astrology chart.
oh my gosh, how many weeks is that?
It's 12 weeks every
Okay. Oh,
Saturday morning.
that's a good amount of time. It's not too
Yeah,
much, but it's
yeah,
not just a quick, oh gosh, I didn't catch that. And it
yeah.
gives everybody a good amount of time to really ask you. You're so good at answering questions and
Thank
engaging with people. I mean, you're great at delivering the lesson, but I know personally, because I've been in your classes before, it's when the questions come about, those periods when the good nuggets really are
Yeah.
exposed, and you really get, because then you can ask personal questions in a class like that.
You can.
That's really
And that's what
cool.
we're expecting. I'm gonna deliver, the information for each class and then
Hmm.
open it up for question and answer. So we're
Yeah.
able to get to the bottom of different things that are going on in your personal chart, but also helping you to understand the basic principles so that when you look at your natal chart, you can see some of the patterns that are going on in your life.
Hmm.
It's gonna be fun.
And understand what those little symbols and those lines mean.
Oh my gosh, all of the numbers and the lines and the houses and the aspects, all
Oh
of the
my,
degrees. Yeah, we're learning
wow.
all of that.
Oh my gosh. You guys, you got to sign up for that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really
gonna be fun.
exciting. So check out the link below to get to our, classes, workshops, events, whatever is going on there. Because you might be listening to this, who knows when. But
Yes.
thanks, friend. This was a great conversation that probably could go on and on.
Oh,
But
yeah, we could talk for hours about this.
yeah,
We could talk for hours about this, but one thing I wanted to mention, also comment below, what are the topics that you'd like us to talk about? Do you
yeah.
see anything happening in the metaphysical world that you would like us to address? Please comment below. What would you like
Hmm.
us to include in the next episodes?
Yeah, yeah. I've got to push a button here just because there's buttons to push.
Oh my
Thanks,
gosh,
everyone.
I love sound effects.
Have a great day. Love you
Bye.
guys. Bye bye.